One of the tools I use in my work, and it's been around a long time but has proved to be of enduring value, is just the very notion of worldviews. And one of the things about worldviews is it does tend to map to some extent onto different nationalities and national identities as well. And I think the whole question of national identity and national culture as something that shapes our understanding of climate change is really underdeveloped. We talk about geopolitical kind of negotiations, but at that more intellectual sense. So that's actually something that I ran a session on at the recent American Association of Geographers conference, and we're writing a paper on that. But just to cut to your question about perhaps the difference between, say, Europeans and Australians, it could be argued that there's some different worldviews in place there. And so, for example, one of the kind of classic worldviews that the anthropologist Mary Douglas talks about is a hierarchical worldview, which is an understanding of the world as quite ordered, an orderly place, that things ought to be done in a nice, neat and logical fashion with divisions of labour, etc. And one of the implications of that is generally an acceptance of a level of authority, but also of rules and norms being also egalitarianism or equity as well. Where perhaps in Australia, part of our pull away from the British national identity in our bid to become quasi-independent, perhaps was a bit more of a dominance of an individualistic worldview, where there's much more of a value placed on self-reliance, on thinking for oneself, etc. Now, this is just me hypothesising off the top of my head, but it may be that helps to explain perhaps some of the patterns in attitudes to climate change that we see, at least amongst some of our political class, if not the average people on the street.